Hey guys, before I start this video, I know there is a logo like right here that says Spike Gaming. That's not for this channel. I've already recorded my video and I don't feel like going back and re-recording it. It's just gonna be there. Just ignore it. It's for my gaming channel. But let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Internet Mexican Show. Qasem Soleimani, I know I probably fucked that up, an Iranian general, has been assassinated by the United States of America under order of President Trump. Twitter has been in an uproar about it. Liberals fear a war with Iran, and conservatives are still stroking their nationalism boners over this event. What led up to this event? So on December 27th, 2019, a rocket attack killed an American contractor and injured several American troops in Kirkuk. The attack was undertaken by, and I'm going to fuck this up also, Kataib Hezbollah, also known as the Hezbollah Brigades in Iraq. They're an Iranian-backed militia. They're also sanctioned by the Iraqi government. The group has been blamed for several other attacks on American bases in Iraq, so this isn't the first time, but this one led to several American troops being injured and an American citizen being killed. So on December 29th, the United States retaliated, bombing 3 sites in Iraq and 2 sites in Syria, which were linked to the Hezbollah group. These attacks killed a total of 25 militiamen. With the death of these 25 militiamen, the United States has unlocked a Predator strike and a tactical nuke. December 31st, the American embassy in Iraq was then besieged by the media's been calling them protesters. I would say they're more rioters. So it was besieged by Iraqi rioters who managed to break in not too far, but set several fires. And then they were repelled by American, I guess the guys guarding the base, but also by Iraqi police and Iraqi counterterrorism units, which responded after, I believe, the event took several hours. According to the media, it took them several hours because they were caught off guard. Eventually, though, the rioters were repelled, and the embassy was, I don't want to say saved, because it ended up getting pretty fucked up, although no American lives were lost. It should also be noted that during the attack on this American embassy, liberals were salivating at the idea that this could be another Benghazi, simply for the fact that they wanted it to tarnish Trump's reputation. And the fact that you wanted this to somehow be another Benghazi, shameful. You motherfuckers are just fucking disgusting people, honestly. Why do any of these events matter towards the assassination of Soleimani? The reason that all of this matters is because it is said that Qasem Soleimani, the general, is said to have helped equip, train, procure funding for, and help plan attacks for the Kataib Hezbollah militia in Iraq. In fact, according to sources, Soleimani is said to have been involved in supplying Iraqis with the tools and the knowledge to build IEDs during the Iraq War, an action which is directly responsible for the death of several thousand American servicemen. In fact, this man is not only recently responsible for attacks on Americans, but is responsible for providing tools to people who were willing, and not only willing, but were successful in killing American citizens, American servicemen. So, in fact, the strike against this guy happened because it is said that he was still involved in planning attacks against American personnel and installations in Iraq, even up to the day when he was killed. And that's actually the reason why supposedly he was targeted. The question is, why now? If we've known that Soleimani has been involved in attacks against the United States since the Iraq War, and we've known his whereabouts, other than just on January 2nd, 2020, we've known where this guy has been previously. Why call in an assassination now? I mean, the war in Iraq started in 2003, I believe, right? We've been in there for several years, and in those years that we've been there, if Iranian-backed militants who have been attacking United States personnel have been using the tools and knowledge provided to them by Iran through Soleimani, why are we barely attacking him? Well, according to, and I'm going to fuck this up again, according to Rukmini Kalimachi, a correspondent for the New York Times, after American targets were hit by Hezbollah, Trump was presented with several options on how to respond to the situation. One of these options included the assassination of Soleimani, although this option was a far-out option, not the first option. Trump instead chose to retaliate against Hezbollah in Iraq with that December 29th airstrike, both in the installations in Iraq and in Syria. However, the decision to kill Soleimani came later, after the embassy was besieged by the Iraqi rioters. So the justification for Soleimani's assassination is that he was still currently planning attacks against the United States or United States personnel in Iraq through the use of his proxy troops, the Hezbollah brigades in Iraq. Because of that, he needed to be taken out. However, like I said before, after the December 27th attack, Trump was presented with several options, right? At least that's what we're told, meaning that his assassination wasn't the only option on the table. There were other options on the table which were most likely not going to create as much tension as this assassination has created. So why choose to take on this assassination now? Have you guys ever heard of the shock doctrine? So let me be clear right now on what I think. I believe this assassination is 100% justified. There's no question that this guy was a threat to American personnel, American citizens, American diplomats in the region. He was still actively involved in planning attacks and actively involved in procuring funding for these Iranian-backed militias, which are actively attacking American troops in the country. So there's no doubt in my mind that his death is completely justified. The thing is that if there were other options, why not go for the options that were not going to bring us on a brink, that were not going to bring us on a brink of war with Iran? So why choose the option to kill this guy now? To me, it's clear that this was meant to distract from Trump's impeachment. That is clear to me. And aside from distracting from Trump's impeachment, it's also meant to drum up support for his re-election from the more conservative parts of the American population. So although we were 100% justified in retaliating, it appears that there were other options, but this is the only option, or at least this is the option that was going to create the most distraction from the political troubles he's having here at home. Whatever, it's been done. Soleimani has been assassinated. We're moving forward from here. So what happens now? Well, obviously now the tensions have gotten to the point where we're all talking about World War III, right? I mean, I know I'm not the only one who's seen all these fucking, and I'm not going to lie, they're funny as shit, all these World War III memes on Twitter. We're basically at a point where war is literally on the table. I don't think that we're going to go to war, and I honestly don't want to go to war. We don't need another endless war in the Middle East. And I honestly don't believe that most people, conservatives, liberals, everybody, I think most people don't want to go to war. However, given that Soleimani was such a high priority target, and given the fact that he was basically like a really powerful person in the the Iranian hierarchy, Iran has already vowed to retaliate against the United States. And not just that, but during that airstrike that killed their general, the leader of the Hezbollah brigades in Iraq was also killed. So now that militia is threatening to also retaliate. But what form will retaliation take? Well, we've already seen some cyber attacks coming from, a group that claims to be from Iran on American government websites. So that's one of the retaliations that are a possibility, and that's cyber attacks. We could also see continued attacks on American positions in Iraq through the use of proxy troops, again, like the Hezbollah brigades in Iraq and any of the other Iranian-backed militias in the country. However, it should also be noted that the State Department issued a warning to American citizens to not travel to Iraq, and if they are currently in Iraq, they should leave the region. Reading online, some people believe that the reason this was issued, aside from there being an increase in tensions, is that part of the retaliation could be retaliation not just against American military personnel or American diplomats, but they fear that there could be retaliation in the form of kidnapping American citizens. And for this fact, American citizens have been asked to, one, not travel to the American embassy in Iraq, but also to leave the region, to just dip out. In fact, attacks against American positions, probably by Iranian-backed militias, is probably going to be something that actually happens, because Soleimani's successor has already promised bodies of Americans across the Middle East, or get ready to see bodies of Americans across the Middle East, which, bro, if you're making these threats, look at what happened to your homeboy. Do you really think it won't happen to you? If Iran is involved in any further attacks, Trump has already stated there are 52 possible targets that the U.S. will strike. Although it should be noted that Trump said that some of these targets are of cultural importance to Iran, which, if going through with these strikes, if he does go through with them, it's a war crime. it's a war crime. But then again, look who we have at the helm of the ship. So anyway, so that's what's happened. It's the start of the year, and we're already talking about potentially World War III. Now, here's the thing, though. I don't think that this would lead to a world war. It might lead to a regional war. However, I don't think we're going to go to war. And honestly, with all this talk of peace and and war and stuff, I think what Iran needs to do is back the fuck off. Yes, his death was justified, although there were other options. I feel like there could have been another option taken. Whatever other options that were presented to him could have been taken to prevent these tensions from getting to the point to where they are. But, here we are now. I think, however, at this point, in order to de-escalate the situation, Iran needs to put its dogs on a short leash. Because, let's face it, the reason we're here is because their guy was planning attacks on our guys, and we retaliated. That's why we're here. We took the heavier step. We swung, remember the saying that we learned in high school, speak softly, carry a big stick? We swung our stick, son. So tell me, what do you think? What would you have done had you been commander-in-chief? Would you have gone through with your assassination? Do you feel there was another resolution that wouldn't have brought us this close to the brink of war? What personally is your opinion? What would you have done? Do you think this is justified? I personally think his assassination was justified, even if it were not the best option. Do you think this assassination was justified? Why or why not? What would you do differently from President Trump? And what do you think is going to happen? Also, if there is a World War III, are you fighting? Are you joining the United States military? Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. I'll leave links to all the documents that I used to create this video. If you agree with me, hit that like. If you don't, hit that dislike. This has been Internet Mexican. Thank you guys for watching the Internet Mexican Show.